people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, then welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I'm here today with secret project number 2 for the month of October, in which I talk about the words that I learned from Shashi Tharoor's Tharoorosaurus. And we all know Shashi Tharoor is a sort of an English, I don't even know the word for it. He's a thesaurus in himself, which is why someone suggested to him that if he were ever to write a book about all the words that he wanted to share with the world, then he should name it Tharoorosaurus. And that is so apt because Tharoor, a thesaurus, a dictionary in himself, the Indian dictionary you could call him, plus thesaurus is Tharoorosaurus, and I don't need to explain that any further. And just look at this cover, okay? We all know that Shashi Tharoor is an eloquent word master, and the way he weaves words, he brings new words every single day, and he sends Twitter and social media into a frenzy every time he does it. And so I thought, what would be a better way to learn new words than to buy his latest book. And I learned a lot of new words, 10 of which I will be talking about in this video today. And there are a few honorary mentions which I have to mention. This video won't be complete without them, but we will focus on the first 10 words. But before that, let me take you through what this book is about. This is a collection of 53 words for every week in a year. There are 52 weeks, and he also counted a leap day, so 52 plus 1, 53 words. And he has given the definition of the word. He has given how the word can be usage in a sentence. He has framed it. He has given its etymology. He has also given so many little anecdotes throughout the book that it becomes so much fun to read throughout. I absolutely love this book, and if you are someone who loves learning English, who loves learning new words in English, then this is a book that you should definitely pick up. But what Shashi Tharoor has also done in this book, since he is a clever man, he has included his commentaries about the government, about current society, about past society, and a lot of such stuff. I mean, I don't know words. Shashi Tharoor is a thesaurus here, not me. In addition to adding one word for every week of the year, Shashi Tharoor has also managed to bring out unusual words from every letter of the alphabet, and that's a delight to read, because sometimes for some letters like X or Q, we don't know what certain words are. Did that make sense? I have no idea. But that's what this book is all about. It will teach you new words. It will give you new perspectives while using those words in sentences. And his wit and dry humor and even sarcasm in some places is out of this world. I enjoyed reading this to no end. I laughed, I contemplated, I thought, I learned. You will do a lot of things when you're reading this book, so I'd highly recommend this, even though I've already said it before. So now on to the 10 words that I learned as I read Shashi Tharoor's Tharoorosaurus. First up is aptagram. It's a noun which means that you can rearrange the letters of a word and bring out the meaning of the word in those second phrase. Did I make sense? Wait, let me read out what Shashi Tharoor has said. An anagram that incorporates the meaning of the word. So more or less what I said. This is the example that the author has used by saying that astronomer means moon starer. An aptagram does not always have to exactly mean the thing. It could also mean it in a funny way. For example, dormitory could be rearranged and made it into a dirty room. So that's not necessarily always the case, but it's like you get the context, the bigger picture, and you see that it's witty and funny. Next up is contronym, a word that can mean one thing and also mean the exact opposite thing. This word reminded me of a Tumblr post that I saw pinned on Pinterest, where they were talking about the word chuffed, and apparently the word chuffed means happy as well as annoyed in English. So I was like, how can one word have two meanings which are the exact opposites of each other? How is that even possible? And Shashi Tharoor also mentions in this that apparently English is one of the only languages which has this kind of thing. So next up is defenestrate. This is one of the funniest words I've ever heard in the English language, okay? Because of its meaning, not because of how it is framed or pronounced. This is a verb, and the first time that I had vaguely read about this, I thought, okay, that sounded really A-rated, but when I read Shashi Tharoor's explanation, I was in splits because of how amazingly he has explained the word. And this means to chuck someone out of the window, to throw them out of the window. Apparently it's metaphorical, but still the very idea of defenestrating someone, it's too hilarious for me to remove that picture from my head. I feel like it has a very funny connotation to it. You can't use it in serious situations when you're meaning it literally. When you're using it metaphorically, that's a different matter, but when you're using it literally, I'm going to defenestrate you. Next word is epicaricacy. It's a noun and it means deriving pleasure from the misfortunes of others. Epicaricacy is always in a rather malicious manner. I don't know the verb form for this because epicaricacy is a noun, but someone who is epicaricacious, you could call them. I don't know, I feel like I'm just making up things, but someone who has that quality would feel joy when they see someone else being humiliated or degraded, and they relish it. We have a lot of such people. Twitter trolls, epicaricacy. Facebook trolls, epicaricacy. Like, there are a lot of other people as well. But next word is epistemophilia, which is a noun, and that means an excessive love of knowledge. Epistemophilia is more of on a very fanatical level, especially in India, where so much importance is placed on mugging up and learning by rote and quizzes and all such stuff, which literally pressures the brain. Epistemophilia seems more of a forced thing rather than the person learning for themselves. At least that connotation has come over the past few decades, you could call it, because there are so many people who are saying learn well, Sharma ji ke bete se zyada lana hai, and that Sharma ji ka beta is always like, what did I do? Why are you bringing me into it? And the author in this book, he talks about the pros and cons of epistemophilia and about how it affects young minds and why it's becoming more of a problem than of being something to be hailed at. And I feel like to a large extent I really agree with the author here, because if someone is being forced to like read, otherwise we will disown you, that sort of thing, then I don't think that should be encouraged. The next word is a mouthful, so be prepared, because even I need to prepare myself to say this word. Floccinaucinihilipilification. I'm not saying that word again. I'm just going to call it flock because it's so long. I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 6, 27, 29 letters in this word. Or did I count wrong and there are 30? Who knows, but it's a long one. This is apparently a noun. It is the act of estimating someone as worthless. For this word, the author has gone deep into its roots and tried to find out who was the first one to use it and how it has been used in the past so far. And there are also examples of how you can use the word and change it around a bit. Like, if you are someone who tends to estimate someone or something as worthless, as the author has described, then you are bound to be a floccinaucinihilipilificator. That's what you are. Shashi Tharoor also talks about the origin of this word and the usage of how people have used it over the years and everything. It's a lot. The word itself is a lot, and then the explanation is also a lot. Next up is lethologica, which is a noun, and this means the affliction of not remembering the right word for the thought you are trying to express. And as a writer, as an author, I can identify with this so much. Like, even in real life, when I'm talking, maybe to my husband, maybe to my parents, maybe to my in-laws, I'll be sitting there and I want to tell them something, but I can't remember the word for it, and I'll be like, that, And then they end up staring at me and they're like, what, that? Okay, that only, we understood. So basically I have lethologica. I can't remember the right word for the thought I'm trying to express. But I'm not that bad though. I can remember some stuff, like I'm talking right now. I remembered the word for talking. So that's good, I think. Next word is paraprosdokian, which is a noun, and this means a figure of speech in which the latter part of a sentence or phrase or larger statement is surprising or unexpected in a way that prompts the reader or hearer to rethink the first part and understand it differently. See, there are a lot of examples that the author has given, and for everything I had to go and read them again, and I had so much fun doing this because it was really unexpected, which is what the word paraprosdokian means. That's it, right? Paraprosdokian. Yes, paraprosdokian means, for example, I can picture in my mind a world without war, a world without hate, and I can picture us attacking that world because they'd never expect it. Like, this is a roller coaster, right? When you start the sentence, you're like, oh yeah, I hope that our world does become that someday. And then in the second part, you're like, oh shit, you were not talking about our world, were you? But he's not wrong when he says that we might attack that world. They wouldn't see it coming. The next word is a word that us Indians use a lot. And for a long time, we did not know that it did not technically exist in the English language. And that word is prepone, which is a verb and which is the opposite of postpone. Shashi Tharoor makes such a valid point in this chapter about this word. He says that he was the one who coined it way back in 1971 or 72 when he was still in college. And that's no surprise, is it? Like, he could do a lot of things. He is capable of doing a lot of things. He could have invented a ton more. Only thing is that the English people should add it to the dictionary. Like, so many new words were invented over the past so many centuries. Like Shakespeare, he invents like 500-700 words, and you're like, oh, he's the bard of Avon, and I'm going to listen to him and I'm going to use his phrases, I'm going to use his words. But when Indians do this, you're like, hey, you don't know English. Dude, we know English, and we made English easier for ourselves. Post, pre, how difficult is it to understand? And every time you want to say, I want to advance this meeting by a few days, you could just say, can we prepone the meeting? You wouldn't say, can we push the meeting for a later date? No, you say postpone, right? So why not prepone? It's that easy and simple. And from now on, I am going to use prepone. Always. I used to be that person who got intimidated and said, oh shit, prepone is not a word. What am I going to do now? But now I'm like, and he also talks about how if Americans can say fall for autumn and gotten for have got, though both are archaisms in England itself, why can't Indians say furlong, fortnight, and do the needful, even if these have fallen out of use centuries ago in London? So many words in Indian English have stood up to the only test that matters, the test of time and usage. If enough people find a word or phrase useful, it is, to my mind, legitimate. And everybody else can go home because Shashi Tharoor just made the most important point ever. That's all. Bye. So the last word is spoonerism, and this is the funniest thing I've read in this book. I know I said that about one other word before, but I laughed and laughed and laughed at this because, like, spoonerism means a language error in which syllables from two adjacent words or two words just close by each other are mixed up, giving it a completely different meaning. For example, the preacher, Reverend Spooner, from whom this term spoonerism is coined, the preacher Reverend Spooner referred to conquering kings as kingering kongs, thus coining a legendary spoonerism. Look at this illustration. Conquering kings, kingering kongs. That's what we are talking about. And there are a lot of examples that the author has given here. I'll read out a few which are really fun. Another example is 3 cheers for our dear old queen, or 3 cheers for our queer old dean. Cozy little nook is said as nosy little cook. And the moment you make that tiny little change in the syllables, shifting one from here to the other and just exchanging them, it gives a whole different meaning to the whole phrase, and it makes for such a fun read, especially this chapter. Those were the 10 words, and now on to the honorary mentions, which I won't talk much about. And the first one is the first one in the book, which is called agathokakological. Goodness me. It means consisting of both good and evil. Next is, I don't know if this is kakistocracy or kakistocracy, but this is a form of government in which the least qualified or most unprincipled individuals are in power. Next is muliebrity, which means womanhood, womanness, and the quality of being a woman. It means feminine, and apparently this is the complete opposite of the word virility. Next honorary mention is opsimath, which is a noun. It means a person who starts learning at a later stage in life. Next honorary mention is Panglossian. It is an adjective which means foolishly and unrealistically optimistic, and don't we all know one of such Panglossian people in our lives? Like, जो होता है अच्छे के लिए होता है. Everything happens for the good. Just focus on the good. No, that kind of positivity does not. No, sit right. No, please. Next honorary mention, rodomontade, which is a noun, a verb, and an adjective. It basically means boastful talk or boastful behavior. The last honorary mention is zugzwang. It's a noun. It is used mostly in the context of games. Like when you're playing a game like chess, it is brought to the point where the opposition is compelled to move, even though he knows that he will lose. Zugzwang. That's how it's pronounced, zugzwang. So those were the words that I learned from Shashi Tharoor's Tharoorosaurus, and I absolutely loved reading this book. It was a full 5 out of 5 stars from me, and I learned from this book that Shashi Tharoor is funny, witty, sarcastic. He has a strong political opinion which he is not afraid to discuss and put out there. He's a politician after all, and I loved it. I didn't think that his newest book would be my first read by Shashi Tharoor, even when I have a lot of his books on my TBR. They've been there for a couple of years now, but this was the first one that I've read, and I absolutely love it. Now I can't wait to go and read those other books. And if you ask me, you must read Tharoorosaurus because it's so much fun, and that is just the first advantage that you will have when you read this book. There are a lot of other things also, as I mentioned, and you will have fun reading it, and I would highly recommend it. So what did you think of this video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Will you go and pick up Shashi Tharoor's Tharoorosaurus? Then what new words did you learn from this video? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.